The fishing news is brought to you by Interlux Marine Paint, Fanatics of Ocean City, Maxima Fishing Line, and Okuma.
Well, summer flounder falls from our hit list this weekend. I'm Jim Hutchinson with a New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. Fall officially came to be Thursday morning, a little after 10 a.m. But of course, this weekend in New Jersey is your last opportunity for 2016 to load up on those summer flounder. So I'm hoping that you're going to find yourself a long, successful day on Sunday fluke fishing in New Jersey. Now, of course, the Raritan Bay fleet will continue to hammer hard at these fish, working the channels, working that deep water. Boats like the My Joe, who've been out in recent days trying to load up on the fluke before the closure. We did hear of a good bite this week. You know, we talk about that deep water structure, but we've heard of a good bite right outside some of the creek mouths as some of that bait starts emptying out. Think sailboats, if you will. You know what I'm talking about up there. Now in central Jersey, as a matter of fact, they had some good fluking on the Jamaica too on Monday. Monday was a day with the heavy rains. Well, some of those guys braved the rain and got out there and did pretty well on the bite in central Jersey. Probably hitting some of that inshore structure. Axel Carlson artificial reef site in central Jersey has been a proven producer of fluke all season long. I would expect it to continue throughout this weekend. Tough fluking a little bit farther south on some of those reef sites like Little Egg and Garden State. Talked to my dad on Saturday. He was working hard on those reef sites. Didn't do too much. Though if you go farther south in South Jersey, Cape May Reef has been consistent as well this season. So we expect to see a lot of folks out there giving them heck, trying to load up on those fluke before the New Jersey closure at the end of the day on Sunday the 25th. Meanwhile, down in Delaware, Joe Shevlin, he was at Lewis Harbor in the canal fishing with a minnow and nuclear chicken gulp. Checked in with Lewis Harbor Marina just the other day. Don't forget, down in Delaware, those guys have it made. They can continue to fluke fish throughout the rest of 2016. I guess if you wanted, as those fish pushed out towards the canyons, you can follow them all the way out there if you want. Beach fluke, this is a great time of year to get out there on the beach looking for fluke, because those summer flounder, they get into the wash and they're feeding the same as the stripers are with on some of those peanut bunker and also the finger mullet. Favorite time for me to get out there, especially on incoming tide, bucktail and gulp combination, you can't go wrong. Also, fresh mullet, the finger mullet is terrific, even just on a three-way rig. I like to use a rounded, the bank sinker, not the pyramid. You can actually cast out to the sandbar on the incoming tide, and you just kind of pull, reel down, pull. When you feel that sinker roll down, that's a lot of times where you're dropping the bait right into the zone. So get out there, and don't forget, you've got that 16-inch size limit over at Island Beach State Park if you're going to be working that area. Speaking of the surf stripers, the peanut imitations, swim shads, and of course little neck poppers. I popped up a little guy just the other day. So the fishing is starting to turn on there. Mostly smaller fish, of course, school-sized stripers. Just remember, if you're throwing those plugs, those top waters in the wash, work that lure right up to your feet. A lot of times, because those peanuts are in close and those bass are in close, they're going to be right there at the lip. A lot of times you'll reel all the way up, even in several inches of water, you'll see a striper come up, explode from that little hole, right from that little trough, and pick up your plug. So reel to your feet, don't forget that. Ray Pashik, he checked in with Sterling Harbor Bait and Tackle in Wildwood just the other day, throwing top waters for a school striper in Wildwood Crest. While up in North Jersey, we're starting to get reports of guys starting to find some stripers under birds. The Rachel Rose was out of Bayonne finding stripers under the working birds just the other day. No dice for me, however, on Wednesday. I was up in Sandy Hook looking to see if I can find something, some false albacore. You just got to hunt and peck, move along and see if you can find them. Speaking of which, also on Wednesday, I had the opportunity to get out on the reef deployment. An additional wreck, an additional vessel was deployed at Axel Carlson, a 68-foot trawler called the Austin, although that's been renamed Shady Reef in honor of John Grady, a young man who passed away about 10 years ago, very well known in the fishing community up there. The Grady family put together this beautiful deployment with help from the Greater Point Pleasant Charter Boat Association and the Ocean Reef Foundation. This happens to be the fourth deployment, the fourth additional vessel deployment of 2016, though we're expecting another 5 or 6 before the year is out, including perhaps the Tamaroa, the Coast Guard vessel made famous in the perfect storm. Read all about that. I've got a great story. Well, I hope it's a great story, but did a lot of research on the history of the Tamaroa from the time it was a naval vessel in World War II on up to the perfect storm. That's going to be in the October edition of the Fisherman magazine, which will go to print on Monday morning. And we certainly need some more reef structure, of course, especially to hold some of these porgies in close. That's going to be the one fish that keeps everybody busy for the next 3 weeks, next month, until that October sea bass opening. Boats like the Last Lady out of Neptune will be hitting the porgies hard. In fact, it's one of those fish that primarily up in North Jersey, although more and more of these porgies are showing up in Central Jersey. My friends Bob Misak and John DeBona from the Fisherman magazine, they were out on Saturday fishing the research buoy with a chum pot, loaded up on the blowfish, but they also surprisingly caught quite a few keeper porgies in the Back Bay. In the Back Bay, of course, we've got a bunch of weak fish still. We're getting some good reports from those folks that are fishing the sod banks, fishing along the channels, along the sedges. Quiet time of year to be throwing bucktails tipped with shedder crab. Joe Jr. reported back to Andy at Riptide and Brigantine the other day. In fact, he said it was, quote, very strong. So continue to look for those weak fish, even with that one fish limit. What hasn't been very strong, of course, is the tuna bite. It's as if the tuna disappeared. At least they've turned off, especially since the Labor Day storm that we've had. Guys like Fernando Arellano, they've been finding mahi offshore to fill in the gaps. He had this 18-pounder that he caught on the Mimi 6 recently. Now, I did talk to Captain Len Belcaro of Offshore Satellite Services. Len, in the last couple of weeks, has been tracking a huge eddy. He called it a monster eddy. And his forecast, if the conditions allow it, if this eddy comes ashore, we could get a tremendous chunk bite throughout October. Good time of year to start chunking, so keep an eye out and keep your ears to the ground for this big eddy, because we could get still a last gasp of an incredible yellowfin bite. Now this weekend, I would invite you out to the Jersey Shore Boat Sale and Expo. That's being held at Lakewood Blue Claw Stadium Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You know, this is a great time of year to buy a boat, especially a used boat. Folks are thinking about winterizing, what they've got to do to get that boat prepped for the winter. It's a good time for you to load some cash right in front of them and say, I'll take it off your hands, let me worry about that. So it is a good time to get yourself into a used boat. And at the Jersey Boat Sale and Expo this weekend, some of the dealers in New Jersey do have some previously owned models. Get there Friday. If you're interested in buying a quality used boat, get there early on Friday because these things start to move early. And be sure to stop by and see us as well. I'll be there Friday and Saturday. We're at the Fisherman booth. We've got copies of the September edition plus a free gift for those of you who get your new or renewing subscription to the Fisherman magazine there. So I will see you there. Catch them up. Good luck this weekend of your fluke fishing, and we'll see you next week at thefisherman.com.
The Fishing News is brought to you by Interlux Marine Paint, Fanatics of Ocean City, Maxima Fishing Line, and Okuma.